And welcome to the coaching tips series number 3. And this is trust and communication. And it's something that I find doing what I do as a coach within organizations and with people, either relationships personally, professionally, or even with your dog and your cat. And communication seems to be one of the key challenges people face. If ever we do a survey, like a staff survey, team survey, and look for, if there's one thing we could improve in the organization, what would it be? Regularly is communication. And when you actually dig deeper into it, people don't really know what it means. You're communicating what? And there's a key difference between people needing to know things and wanting to know things. We've got to be real careful with that. But what do I mean by that? Well, I think rather than just decide to communicate with people more and tell them more stuff, is to really figure out I guess the psychology of it, if you like, or how trust works in an organization, how trust works in a relationship. And I've been with Lynn now for 40 years, and we've learned a few things on the way, as you can imagine. We met when I was only 16 years old when we met, and we built up, obviously, over the time, a long-term trust-based relationship. That's how it goes. Now, it doesn't mean we never fall out or have a crossword or disagree or anything like that. And in fact, anybody who has a 40-year relationship and never falls out, there's probably something slightly wrong there, I think. But overall, we have this degree of trust. But you have to, it's not work at it. People say we have to work at our relationship and work at our marriage. I don't think you work at a relationship, but there are certain things you have to do, or we do as a pair, as a couple, that keep the relationship alive and keep the spirit and keep the structure there. And the same principles apply, I think, within professional relationships with clients or with your team, with your boss, and with people that you tend to work with. And really, what I've done here is I've put together a slide and a couple of ideas that hopefully describe the relationship of trust, communication, and how trust can diminish over time if communication is not kept up. So the model I use is this very simple chart, and the principle I always work on is perhaps it's a failing of mine, I don't know, but I tend to trust people instinctively. I trust people even if they haven't earned that trust. The position I take is that I trust them, and then they have to sort of back it up with their actions and deeds as you go along. But fundamentally, you're in a relationship with somebody, you work with somebody or a client, and there's a level of trust there anyway. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in a relationship in the first place. And the way the communication works is that it has to be consistent. And I remember I I bought Lynn a bunch of flowers for our anniversary, which I know the date of our anniversary. I did remember it. A bunch of flowers and I think a bottle of wine, that sort of thing for the anniversary. And the next year, I didn't buy any flowers. I think we did something else anyway. And I remember Lynn said, "Well, where are the flowers?" I said, "Well, I bought you flowers last year." She said, "Well, yeah, you're supposed to buy flowers every year. It's not for one-off. It's an every year thing. The fact that I bought you flowers in 1992 doesn't really carry a lot of weight in the relationship in terms of trust and communication right now." So even at that level, communication has to be regular. It has to be consistent. It has to be ongoing. You can't just communicate once and hope for the best. You have to reinforce it. So we start from a position of trust, hopefully, and then we communicate with people. Now, communication could be letting them know what you think, what you feel. It could be updates, it could be information, it could be guidance, it could be anything you like. But certainly, what happens in the absence of communication, we start to think, well, is it okay? Is the relationship strong enough still? And the first step in the decline of a relationship or decline of trust is that people start to think to themselves, well, are you okay? Why haven't you communicated with me? What's going on? What's gone wrong? And I remember I was doing quite a bit of traveling, stuck in an airport, and my phone was actually dead. It went flat. Plane was delayed. I was flying off somewhere, couldn't get the message. And when I finally got on the aircraft and landed at the other side, I checked my messages, and after about an hour after the plane should have left, and I couldn't get in touch, the messages that came in from Lynn were, number one was just checking you're okay, because I hadn't been in touch. And of course, I couldn't respond. And over time, and Lynn knew the plane had left on time because you can obviously track it online and this sort of thing. And it was then, have you missed your plane? Are you alive? And when I finally got to the destination, it was about 5 or 6 hours later. I went back, I obviously called her, and hi, honey, I've arrived in where I'm due to be. And she said, I thought you were dead. And it went from being late for an aircraft to being dead. And that took about 5 hours. And we know each other really well. And okay, it was all fine, it was all good. But the first step, if we don't communicate with people, they will start to think, are you okay? Is a relationship okay? Have I done something wrong? What's the matter with you? There's something not quite right there. And it depends on the style of communication as what this pace should be. And it doesn't have to be every 10 seconds you communicate with people. But there has to be a pace, an acceptable pace that is acceptable to you, acceptable to your team, to your partner, to your boss, whatever it is. And once you find that level, that pace of communication and style, keep it up. Because once you fit into a pattern of communication, then if you break that pattern, then it's, are you okay? Is there something wrong? Now, if you don't sort of fix it, then if I hadn't have emailed back or called or text or something like that, and there's still no communication over a period of time, the next stage is, I think, or Lynn would think, that I don't care. Well, I've texted you, I've called you, I've emailed you, I've called you, I've done all this sort of thing. You haven't come back, you're not communicating, you're ignoring me, and therefore my perception is, whether it's true or not, my perception is you don't care. Now, if you have a team of people working for you and they perceive that you, as their leader, their boss, their supervisor, you don't care, or you're the CEO and your directors or your broader team, you don't communicate with them, if they start to think you don't care about them because you're not communicating, you're not in touch, you're not visible, that's a very slippery slope. And what happens reasonably quickly is, once they believe that you don't care, they reciprocate. And then, well, I don't care. You don't talk to me. I'm not going to talk to you. And we just revert back to being 5-year-olds in the playground if we're not very careful. Because if I don't believe you care, it's very easy for me to say, well, you don't care about me. Therefore, guess what? I don't care about you either. And then the relationship and the level of trust, it continues to dive. And this can take, it can take a number of months, it can take weeks, it can take 20 minutes sometimes, whatever. It depends what the communication style is, but the pace has to be appropriate. Now, if you get to that point of, I don't care, or you don't care about me, you've got a big trench then dig yourself out and keep yourself out of. This is when it costs us married guys, this is when it costs us bottles of wine and champagne and chocolates and things like that and theatre tickets, if we've allowed it to get to this point. And it works both ways as well. I'm sort of jesting with you. When you get to this point where people, they think you don't care and therefore you don't care, then the relationship has really taken a nosedive. It's tricky to get it back, and it can be done. And it's done with, obviously, communication, but you've got to do really something quite special. But what happens if you don't is that, well, at the point of not caring, then it's the case of, well, that's it, I'm leaving. You're not there, you don't talk to me, you don't care anymore, you don't send me flowers. I'm sure there's a song there somewhere, but I'm leaving. And it might be that people are physically leaving the organization, leaving a relationship, or maybe they're just checking out. They're not going to participate anymore. And when you look at engagement of organizations with their people, it's clearly shown that a lot of people in organizations are not engaged. They've checked out. They may not have physically left the organization. Their body is still there, but their enthusiasm and their spirit is somewhere else. They have left. They've checked out. And it can regularly be because people aren't talking to them, communicating, letting them know what's going on, updating. And the same in relationships. People, doesn't mean you have to leave a relationship, but I've come across instances where a couple, one or the other, they've left. Then they haven't physically left, but they have checked out of the relationship. They're not participating anymore, and it's not a great place to be. And the way to avoid it is communication, the style of communication, pace of communication, regularity of it. And we all get to the point where we don't call our mothers enough, we don't call our dad, we don't call our kids, or our kids don't phone us, and that type of thing. It's a little bit different with family like that, but the principles still apply, that we really should, in order to maintain this trust and relationship with people, communicate more. And it may just be a case of pick up the phone and, hi, how are you doing? What are you up to? And I was speaking to my accountant, and they're great. They're a good bunch over in Swindon, D&T, and we were sort of chatting away. And he said to me, so what could we do to improve our services? And I said, well, everything's great. The service is good. The guys do a great job and this sort of thing. I said, but I don't think anybody's picked up the phone and just said to me, hi, how are you doing? What are you up to? Are things okay? We live in France, we're offices in Luxembourg, we're trekking around all over the place. I said that, that could be a nice touch. And it wasn't a criticism. It was just a case of, well, it would be nice to have a bit more visibility, a bit more communication. I certainly don't want my accountant on the phone every week to me. That wouldn't be good. But this sort of level of relationship, level of communication, we can probably look at how we treat our partners, our kids, but our teams, our organizations, and our clients, and jack up the level and pace and quality of communication. It maintains the trust. And if trust is there, then there's longevity. Then there's a much more powerful relationship as well. So that's the model that I use. It's really a sort of mindset thing as much as anything else. You can apply it in different situations, but I hope that's made a little bit of sense. And if it has made sense, you're welcome to send me some notes and some details. Any feedback, my email address is davidholland@resultsrulesok.com. There'll be more of these coaching tips coming out. This is number 3, and I'll be putting them onto YouTube, circulating around on LinkedIn and everywhere as well. So thank you for listening. I hope that was helpful. I look forward to updates. In the meantime, have a great week, and I'll see you on the next coaching tip series. Take care for now.